Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to our um, EEO Officers Lunch and Learn. This month, we are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, and I'm going to start by reading the proclamation that was given by Governor Cooper. Hispanic Heritage Month 2020 by the Governor of the State of North Carolina, a proclamation. Whereas Hispanic Heritage Month, established nationally in 1988 by Public Law 100-402, recognizes the contributions and influence of the Hispanic, Latino, and Latinx communities to the history, culture, and achievements of the United States. And whereas throughout September, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, and Chile celebrate the anniversaries of their independence. And whereas in North Carolina, we take this time each year to recognize the monumental impact that Hispanic and Latino communities have had on the cultural fabric of our state and nation, as well as their meaningful contributions to social and economic progress. And whereas the Hispanic and Latino community of North Carolina are integral to the growth and development of our state, bolstering the economy as business leaders and entrepreneurs, cultivating a strong agricultural industry, enriching our schools and educational system. And serving as leaders in our community. And whereas over the last 30 years, the Hispanic population has grown dramatically. Today, approximately 10% of North Carolinians are Hispanic, with a median age of only 25 years, indicating that this community will continue to grow and flourish. And whereas the national theme of this year's Hispanic Heritage Month, Hispanics, be proud of your past and embrace the future, is a chance for members of the Hispanic and Latino communities to reflect on the traditions and customs that have been passed down to them, and offers future generations the opportunity to learn from their rich cultural history. And whereas the history, culture, art, food, music, and traditions that define the lives of Hispanic people in North Carolina are integral to every aspect of our society. And in addition to shaping our past, Hispanic people are helping to define our future, serving in both the public and private sectors in our community's military, as elected officials and civic leaders, and as community advocates. And whereas in the state of North Carolina is proud of our diverse population and encourages people to celebrate our Hispanic community by participating in events held to commemorate this special occasion. Now, therefore, I, Roy Cooper, Governor of the State of North Carolina, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th as Hispanic Heritage Month 2020. Again, welcome to our virtual EEO Officers Lunch and Learn. We hope that this special presentation on the history of Latin music, its origins and evolution, and its connection to other cultures and to all of us will help us better appreciate the way that we view, include, and celebrate Hispanic and Latin culture and people in our communities across North Carolina, especially in our workplace. Today, helping us appreciate how Latin music unifies us in many ways we have not considered is our guest, Norberto Betto Herrera, presenting the history of Latin music, African roots. Betto is a world-renowned Afro Latin dancer and instructor. He immigrated from Ecuador as a teenager and has participated in numerous international dance conferences around the globe. He has served as a head judge for the Southeast Salsa Open dancing competition and was on the judging panel for the Peru Salsa Open. He has been profiled in Southern Living magazine, as well as a number of other publications and news outlets. Herrera is also frequently a sought-after subject matter expert by university professors and students for his expertise in Afro Latin dance and music. I would like to present to you now our presenter, Betto Herrera. Betto?
Hello, good morning. How are you doing? I am Betto Herrera. Like she said, was born in Ecuador. I'm a United States citizen now. I'm in the United States Marine Corps between 2000 and 2004. That's where actually I started dancing salsa at the New River Air Station in Jacksonville at the E Club. And um, now I'm here presenting to you guys. We want to talk about the history of salsa, specifically because if we go through Latin music and dances, we will be here until next year, maybe hopefully until the pandemic is over. So, um, thinking about the history of salsa, I want to start with this quote on the next slide. The quote says, like, he doesn't speak English and I don't speak Spanish, but we both speak African. That was said by Dizzy Gillespie about Chano Pozo. This Dizzy Gillespie, if you guys don't know, is an iconic figure in the jazz world. He was introduced to Chano Pozo by Mario Bausa, who was a Cuban immigrant and musician. They both used to play together in bands like the Chick Webb Band, the Cap Calloway bands. DC was the creator of the bebop and the cubop, and they set the precedent for the evolution of jazz. Within during his friendship with Mario Bausa, the DC became very interested in Latin music and it's about the rhythms and the percussion elements that the music have to offer and how they had close ties to African music, which DC felt very connected to. During so he was introduced by Pausa to Mr. Chano Pozo, who was known as the best Cuban percussionist that ever came out of Cuba. So Chano and Lucy had a 1 year partnership, and that partnership ended because Chano got shot and out of some dispute at a bar somewhere in New York. They composed songs like Manteca, Night in Tunisia, and Tintindeo, which became like standards for jazz and Latin jazz later on. On the next slide. So today I want to show you guys two different rhythms. One is the claves, which is the instrument, and the rhythm that plays called the clave. The clave sounds like this. And the other rhythm that I wanna introduce you guys is the tumbao, which is played by the conga drums. I have the conga drums right here. Okay? The tumbao sounds like this. So I a lot of you guys are probably going to think, okay, this is a great rhythms, but you guys actually being exposed to these rhythms in many different songs throughout the 1900s all the way up to today. So on the next slide, I want to show you some of these tracks that we have. I have samples of all these tracks, but like for instance, I have like Little Darling. Let me play this song by Elvis Presley. Now that one has the clave in it, and he plays the clave on the riff of the guitar. A very old friend came by today, because he was telling everyone what he found. And so let me give you guys another one. See, like for instance, on the congas, on the tumbao, uh, this one. Okay, this one is one of my favorite songs, so I'm gonna play that. Is the Herrera Through the Grapevine by Marvin Gaye. Okay, there you go. So we're familiar with that song, but I want to fast forward to like about a minute and 1 second where you can actually hear the conga much better because it gets isolated. And we had so many songs. Like for instance, I since the pandemic started, I went into a day that I was watching all the Rocky movies, of course, and I found out that the song "Gonna Fly Now," the the motion picture song for Rocky, actually has the congas in it. So let me just play a little clip of that. Sorry, I was playing the wrong apparatus. You guys can hear the conga all the way in the background, and there are many other different songs. If you wanna search them yourself, there are the titles and the cover pictures uh, on on the slide. So feel free. Okay, so let's move on to. So you guys have been exposed to this music, and it's just that probably you guys weren't able to identify them before. Now let's talk about a little bit about salsa. We want to concentrate on salsa again because it's more specific, and there is a lot of research that have done to this music, and that can allow us to like fast track to our point today. So if you ask any Latino, they will tell you this that the salsa is. Okay, we go back, please. Yeah, salsa is has African and European roots, and then that's it. And so we have salsa. Actually, the story is way more complex than that. Um, because it involves a lot of different religions, cultures, imperialism, politics, human trafficking, slavery, and genocide. And all of these events that happen through history shape the culture and shape the music as well. So let's we'll talk a little bit about that today. Next slide, please. So about the just to kind of like refresh this, the slave trades, the African roots came here through the slave trade. Uh, there were all of the slaves that came to the Americas. They brought their religious practices and beliefs with them, and all, especially for African culture, everything in life had to be surrounded with music. So they brought their music with them. Some of them were cultures like the Palo Mayombe from the Bantu culture, which is it belonged to the kingdom of the Congo, which is where the Republic of Congo is right now. Also, the other one, I'm sorry, by the way, the Bantu people were the first wave of slaves that came to America. The other second big wave that came were from the Yoruba culture, which they have a religious belief of the orishas. And if you put the orishas on one side, all those different deities, and then you list them and put the Greek gods on the other side, you can actually cross-reference each one of them. It basically is the same representations um, of life, of the nature, and so forth. So, why do we have this slave trade? Because of there was cheaper labor, and after the genocide of a lot of colonies in the America, and then they were able to produce a lot of different things in the lands here in the Americas, especially on this triangular slave trade. The next slide, please. We wanna a little bit touch about the Bantu and the Yoruba people, like the difference between the two. So, like I said, the Bantu people, they come from La Regla del Congo, and this is what they call them in Cuba. And the dances that they have there include um, palo, yuca, and macuta. And the Yoruba people, they call it la regla de Osha or Ifa. Okay, those are they have the orishas. Okay, one of the main difference between these two is that the Bantu people evoke in their dance and in their ceremonies the ancestors or spiritualities. Okay, while Yoruba people invoke deities or their different gods. The also when they settled in Cuba, they were they want the Spanish. They were trying to convert them into Catholicism. So what the Africans in Cuba did, they started using Catholic saints as representation of some of their African deities. So when the Spanish will look at them, they will think, oh, they're just practicing Catholicism, when in fact they were actually practicing their original cultures and religions. On the next slide, please. So the Yoruba, as you see, you have a different hierarchy on their gods. Olodumare is the principal god. So Olodumare have never taken the form of a person. It's almost like a God versus Jesus type of thing. So Olodumare is the principal god, was never incarnated as a human, but he had all these different deities that they come to earth, and they were usually uh, people or like kings, some personalities and historical figures that became sainted. Okay, so some of them were like the warriors Elewa, Ogun, and Ochosi, the royals like Shango, Oshun, Yemaya, Obatala, and Oya, and the peasants like Babalua Ye. Okay, they have a dance clip for to play for you guys here. Or maybe just keep going. Since I don't think the dance clip is not playing right now.
Dance clip is playing.
Okay. Oh, what? We played the other day. Oh, well, that's okay. We'll just skip this part. Okay. There's the other religion, or the other culture talk about, which is again like the biggest culture that came to the Americas through the slave trade, was the Bantu people. They came from the Congo. They have the religious traditions with them, which is la regla de Osha, have ancestral spirits that that were used as vessels to communicate to their people. So they used to dance a lot with the sticks. Then and with the sticks they invoke the god. They will like bring the energy back down into the ground. That was part of their dances. And one of the dances, the religious dance that they have, was called palo. And I have a clip for that. Hopefully this one will work. Okay, thank you. There's this move that they use a lot. It's called the moyeu, which is like an undulation of the spine, and using your core to create a movement, and also like a constant bending of the knees, like with sending the energy into the ground, which is found a lot in all of our Latin dances. Okay, let me see. Next slide, please. And the other dance that they do is more like a festive dance. Is called the yuca. The yuca has a movement that's called the bacunao, which is pumping belly. It's like kind of like a game, flirting game, game. They also have the yuca drums, which were made of avocado trees, and they used to be tuned by fire. So you used to like round up the heads of the drums close to the fire, so that way, as the skin will get warmer, it will dehydrate a little bit, and it will get tighter, and giving it a sharper sound. They also used to have a rhythmic pattern, the kata or the wawa, which is included 2 to 3 beats per clap. They have the muela or the wataka bell, and also this the predecessors of the jambu, which is one of the rumbas. I will talk about that later. Have a dance clip for that. And again, this is the dance between the rooster and the hen. I want you guys to pay attention a lot to the hip movements that they use. Okay, good. This again is a flirtatious dance. They move the hips side to side as a sign of fertility. And the next dance that they do, again, all these dances that we're showing you right now are from the Congo, from the Bantu people. And the next dance is in Makuta. This is a celebration dance. The drums are yuca drums are a little bit bigger. They have a tresillo pattern, which is actually a predecessor of the clave, the one that I played earlier. And also, this is a rhythm that predates the guaguancó. This is a social dance between in Bantu gatherings. It's festive, and it usually is done after the ceremonial dances, like after the palo. Okay, the skirts that they use are called the sayas, and which they're used in many different dances, and every move represents something different. It's inviting somebody in, it's like pushing somebody out, and so forth. So let's play the clip, please. So, right. So they also dance this one with partners. So don't believe just because we saw that part of the clip that they have only the ladies they do it with partners as well. Okay. The next slide, we want to talk about the rumba. The rumba. This is not what you see on TV. So you think you can dance or Dancing with the Stars. Rumba is a completely different rhythm. I tell people all the time that got lost in translation. Rumba is an Afro-Cuban dance. It was developed in Cuba out of all these dances from the Yoruba people and the Bantu people. And as used 3 different drums. At this point, they started actually. At first, they used to use anything that they had in the house, a wooden box, the door, spoons, and so forth. But then they developed the bembe drums, which later on became the conga drums or the tumbadoras. That's how they call them in Cuba. So you have 3 different rumbas. The slow one is the Bantu, is slower, and they say that it's for the older people, not just because it's slower, but also because it's slower, it's harder to dance. So you need a lot of control and experience to be able to dance it. This is the dance between the woman represents beauty and the man represents wisdom. So the woman is always dancing very elegantly, and all her movements are very soft and inviting, and she's just beautiful. And then the man represents wisdom, so he dances like he's very, very old, like everything hurts, like my back hurts, and so forth. The second one is the Wawanko. Wawanko is probably the most popular one. Has this movement called back now, which is a pelvis thrust towards their partner, like if you see on the picture right there on the bottom left. And what he's trying to say is that I'm gonna get you right now, and then she covers herself up and says, no, 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 no. So it's like a game back and forth until like he finally gets her or he doesn't get her. So that's the game. It's called the Bakuna. The Wawanko rhythm actually sounds like this on the drum. Okay. And if I have a Latino in the audience, so if you have ever heard salsa before, there's a song Kimbara Kimbara by Celia Cruz, who is extremely popular, and that's actually it's an actual Wawanko, like Kimbara 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 Kimbara, or the Aguanile song by oh, by La Voz, Héctor Lavoe, is those are rumbas. Okay, now the Colombia is a dance where you only have one dancer, so that's represented by the picture on the bottom right. So it's only one dancer, and that dancer it wants to show off all his knowledge, all his power. And I say he because this dance is usually danced by men. Nowadays, women are also doing these dances, but the ladies, when they get to the middle of the circle and dance it, they still stylize themselves as they were dancing as men. This is something traditional that they've been doing for a long time. So there is a communication between the dancer and the quinto player. So there's still three drums. The big one is the tumbadora or the tumba. The middle one is the conga, and the smaller drum is the quinto. That's the higher pitched drum. So that's the solo drum. So the dancer is telling the quinto player what to do. So if he does something like this very slow, so then the drum is gonna be like as he gets into it. So that's the communication between both those elements. So in order for anybody to get into that circle, they need to be a very strong dancer because he wants to do something entertaining, and also know about the music and the percussion. Otherwise, he's gonna throw the whole band off. Okay, I have this dance clip right here for you guys of this Wawanko dance. As you can see, he's still doing some that will represent as the rooster, similar to those dances from the Bantu, um, the Bantu. So okay, cool. So next slide, we're gonna talk about the lyrics. And so um, we have two type of approaches to the lyrics. Okay, thinking about that, going again back to African tradition, the African tradition really believe a lot about the power of the circle. So for instance, the music, the clave is a circle, it's a cycle. It goes okay. The way that they will gather in their different villages, they will gather in a circle with stuff happening in the middle. Um, the the cycle of for farming that they used to use using astrology, or the grandmothers having a specific language that they use with the newborns. That was also considered part of that rite of passage, the passing that information to the next generation. Again, all representing of the circle. So think keeping that in mind, there's a lot of call and response in the music. Okay, so you have like the singer and the chorus going back and forth, or like two different instruments, or a combination of a singer or chorus with another instrument and so forth. So, for instance, the first one that we have right here, the pregones were strict slangs that they used to use, especially the merchant, the street vendors, that they used to use in order to get the attention of any potential customer, so that way they will go and get their buy their goods, right? So one of those, the one most iconic pregones, our son pregón that we have is El Manicero, which was composed in 1930s by Moises Simmons. If you can play that clip on the Manicero, please.
For our seniors, Social Security is a sacred obligation, a sacred.
Oh, those. So if you have recognized this song, great. There has been a lot of American artists that have um, this song. Actually, this song has been recorded about 130, 162 times, because this the last time I have this, we have two new versions. Uh, there has been in Italian, of course, Spanish and Portuguese, in English, like what's his name? Chubby Checker recorded this song as well. Okay, now let's talk about decimas. So decimas is comes from straight from Spain. It was created by Vicente Espinel in the late 1500s. It was which that's what they used to call it, the Espinela. It has it's a poem that consists of 10 verses. And you can see the structure is A, B, B, A, A, C, C, D, D, C. Okay. It has 8 syllables and in each line. And these ones, they were used to be used in Guajiras. Guajiras, where it was, if you guys are familiar with a rap battle, or that, you give the mic to one MC, and he's says some lyrics, and then you go to the next MC, and they do this back and forth. So that was basically what they used to do. So after, and this were done by the Anglo Cubans. Once they were done farming, they will go to like a foreign porch. Somebody will bring out the guitar, and one person will make an impromptu decima, and then the other person will go after that. Usually it was like playing each other down. It's almost like telling your mama jokes. So those were decimas. That's how decima came into the music. And it was Jose Marti was one of the most iconic Cuban figures in the 1800s, and he used to a lot of decimas, and a lot of some of these decimas became songs later on. And so I have a clip from a decima right here for you guys, so you can hear it.
Army Rangers are taught to make tough decisions under pressure. That's why I picked up a grenade and
Madre en mi horizonte oscuro de hijo amoroso y doliente, brilla un astro solamente y ese es tu espíritu puro. Y cuando pienso en un futuro infinitamente cruel,
So, as you can start noticing, so we have two different sides, and especially in Cuba, talking back to those eras, we have a side of Cuba which were mainly Anglo from European descent, and then we also have the other set of Cubans that were from the African descent. So, like all those Cubans that were in the African side, they used to have all these roots that I'm referring to with the Bantu people, with the Yoruba people, that they helped create the rumba. You have the other side from the European, which we have, like especially in this slide, you can see dances that came with them and rhythms that came with them. Something like the country dance, that it became very popular. They went to England, then went to Spain, it became the contra danza. Then once it came to Cuba, it evolved into the danza and the habanera, and until it became the danzón. So, like with time, and as these cultures were being influenced by each other, and they were mixing each other, this all these rhythms are evolving. So the danzón is very similar to contradance, and we're in North Carolina, so I know that you probably have seen or heard about um, contradance music and dance competitions, actually, like in the state fair, and so it's very similar to that because it comes from the same area. So in the contradance, on the danzón, sorry, the ladies used to use this fan, and the fan had many different meanings. The way that they were holding, if they were close, open, or put it in front of their face or out to the side. So they will, with that fan, they will invite men to ask them to dance. The composer for the danzón is Miguel Falde, and it was from 1870s. And can we play the clip for this? As you can see, the approaches of the dances were very similar from both sides of Cuba that I was referring to. Um, and you can see that the ladies were they were dancing with this elegance, but with a little sway on the hips. Has used to be very, very small to be considered appropriate for the hierarchy in Cuba. So you have on one side you have the danzón, on the other side you have the rumba, and now right in the middle became the son. The son is considered the perfect combination of a love affair between the African drum and the Spanish guitar. You have the basic instructor, which is the intro of this song. It was called the song, and you have the rising, which was called the montuno, and then the climax, which later became the mambo. And here is a little clip for that.
Santiago, ciudad divina, tierra que tiembla en su entraña, junto a ese mar que te baña, y al palo que te ilumina, tu gente alegre se empina, a nivel de tu montaña, junto a ese mar que te baña, y al palo que te ilumina, tu gente alegre se empina, a nivel de tu montaña.
Okay, try to play clips really short so we can move on to the next ones. Okay, so as you can see, the different instructions, the song was breaking down into the song, the montuno, and the mambo. The mambo became his own thing. So some of these musicians, they decided, because this was popular music, they wanted people to dance. So some musicians decided getting rid of some parts of the song and isolate those parts that they believed that they were more popular or that people will dance to it better, or they will get to the dance floor and dance. So they started like creating things in between, like the mambo that was created by Arsenio Rodriguez, although there is a couple other people that give credit to Orestes Vilacho and his brother Israel Cachao Lopez. Um, Also, we have somebody like an iconic person like Perez Prado, who made the mambo an international hit through through Mexico, because in Mexico they had a big cinema industry, and they used to have movies that were very popular throughout all Latin America. So Perez Prado was very well known in the Mexican cinema industry. Perez Prado was also Cuban, by the way. And here's a clip of the mambo.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically correct.
From mambo, jump into the cha-cha-cha. The cha-cha-cha was created by Enrique Jorrin in the early 1950s, which was also popularized by Cachao Lopez. And they call it the slow mambo because there were Cuba had a lot of tourists that used to go to Havana for the casinos and all that stuff. And so since they were having problems keeping up with the dance and the speed of the mambo, they decided to slow it down for them in creating the cha-cha-cha. Okay, the cha-cha-cha includes this triple step, the cha-cha-cha, pa, pa, cha-cha-cha. And here's a clip of the cha-cha-cha.
La tenían que mirar. Estaba gordita, muy bien formadita.
De esta manera, el ciclo se cierra con la creación de un nuevo género en la música cubana.
Okay, so these were very popular rhythms, especially in that era, which are still very popular in the Latin dance scene. Okay, the next rhythm that we want to talk about is the pilon. The pilon, the music and the dance were created in the mid 1960s. Pilon is a rustic tool, like you see on the top left there. It's a rustic tool used to grind coffee beans, and anything especially the folk dances that were representatives of the things that people used to do on a daily basis, like any type of work and so forth. So in this case, in the pilon, the way they used to do it, they used to hit the beans 3 times and then clear the stick by hitting it to the side. So it was like this, ta, 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 chin-cha, ta, 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 chin-cha. And that rhythm became the core element for the music and the dance as well. So it was created by Enrique Bon and popularized by Pacho Alonso. Okay, and here's a little clip of that dance. So that was the pilón. Pilón is a very fun dance, and a lot of people are using it nowadays, especially in Latin dance choreographies. The next one is going to be charanga music, and charanga is this music style, and but the way that you dance is called pachanga. If we're in North Carolina, we're all familiar with this movie, the Dirty Dancing, and if you remember that scene when he's like, "Oh, I have an idea for you. Let's dance the pachanga." Okay, so pachanga is actually never danced in the movie. However, this is what they were referring to. Okay, uh, pachanga is a dance, and this comes from the French Haitian that came from the Haitian Revolution into Cuba in the 1800s, and it developed into this music tradition. Okay, the charanga music is very particular because it sounds like salsa. Okay, I just want to use that term right now, with flute and violin instead of trumpets and piano. Okay, so that's usually that charanga sound that they call it. Okay, so this is a clip of the Pachanga dance. This is actually by Rafael Bacallao, which was the lead singer for Charanga. Um, sorry. Oh,
Thank you so much for your patronage.
so this is Rafael Bacallao with Orquesta Aragon. And, and if you notice any familiarities of any artist that here in America, I will compare it to his style of dancing to James Brown's, the way that he moves his feet so fast. Okay, now once so now we have all these elements, and then through because of the Cuban Revolution, a lot of Cubans migrated here to the U.S., bringing again all that music with them, all those different traditions. And once they got to New York City, they the main area where all these dancers and musicians used to gather was at the Palladium in downtown Manhattan. The Palladium was located on 53rd Street and Broadway. And over here, you see that there's just three people on the top. Okay. Like, actually, can you go back a little bit on this slide? Can you press the black key for me, please, Wendy? So, Palladium, we used to have all these musicians, Machito and his Afro Cubans, which that during that time it was a little bit back, a little further back until we get Marlon Brando. Okay, one more. Thank you. So, and during that time, calling any artist that will say, I think it was like a big deal because this is again the late 1940s, of course. Okay, so they were really big into pushing this forward. And the Palladium, these were some of the best musicians. Tito Rodriguez and Tito Puente, they were both Puerto Rican. Actually, they learned this music from those Cuban immigrants, and this is how the industry shifted from having the Cuban immigrants being the main producers of this music and shifted into the Puerto Ricans because they share similar traditions in talking about music and religious and so forth. So there were a lot of superstars going into the Palladium, like Marlon Brando. Can you please click next? As I name these guys, we have Marlon Brando, we have Doug Hall. I think this is Duke Ellington. Okay, please click next. So like there you go. Ella Fitzgerald, I believe that's the one. Just keep clicking now. Thank you. This is Jerry Lewis, Billy Holiday, Dizzy Gillespie, again. Next one, that's Cal Jader, a famous jazz musician. Again, there was people like Harry Belafonte as well. So they all used to go there. And as you see on the top of the billboard, it says Tito Puente and Tito Rodriguez. So Tito Puente and Tito Rodriguez, they were both Puerto Rican, and plus Machito that you see on the picture on the left by himself there. So this were called the Big Three. But then right under them, they have two names, Augie and Margot. And why did they get there? They were actually dancers. This couple here on the left. And we're not going to play their clips right now because of time, but the entertainment was provided by the dancers here. So this is just regular people that started dancing. They became really good and they became professionals later on. Agio Margo actually became the opening number for Sammy Davis Jr. when he used to travel internationally. And then we have another couple like Cuban Pete and Millie Donay. Cuban Pete, he was Puerto Rican. He was not Cuban. And he's actually one of my mentors. And I have clips for them, but we're not going to play them right now because of time again. So this was a big deal because right here in Broadway, all these different dance and music elements like the jazz and so forth, it started to mix even more. So that's what, like in salsa nowadays, we have all these dances that come from Lindy Hop, from tap and ballet and so forth. Okay, next one, please. Now, once we get in 1970s, we have Latin soul, which is this mix between soul music and Latin music because of the introduction of Motown. Motown became a very leading figure in the music industry and were taking over. So the Latin musicians started to, in order to compete with that and basically grab a piece of the pie, they started putting some of that Latin soul element, that soul element into their music, creating that this Latin boogaloo, or boogaloo as they call them. Okay, let me see. All right, go to the next one. Now, see, we're talking about Motown. We'll talk about Fania Records. Fania Records is for us is our Motown. It was founded by Jerry Masucci and Johnny Pacheco in 1964, but they didn't really gain any popularity until the 1970s with that Boogaloo era. They were the ones that started promoting the term salsa. Salsa is a marketing term. It's a marketing strategy to combine all this music that we have been talking about and put it into one label. Because for people, it was very difficult to distinguish one rhythm for the other one. So they call everything salsa. And at the same time, they started to the sound and to make it sound a little more modern, especially for the new generation. One of the big things that they did as a promoting tool, they recorded a movie called Our Latin Thing, and they distributed that movie all over Latin America, gaining a lot of popularity. They were also play at the Rumble in the Jungle in Zaire, Africa. If you can please play that clip. Right before the George Foreman and Muhammad Ali fight. And yeah, right there. Thank you.
Madame Celia Cruz, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you. Sorry, I want to dance. Okay, so that was stars in Africa. Actually, the founder and musical director of Fania, Johnny Pacheco. I have a conga head signed by him because he still lives in New Jersey. He's still alive. He's like 90 something, which is really cool. Okay, so this is now which bring us back to the first slide that we had with the tree. Okay, as you can see, the tree. If you see the left side at the bottom, we have all these rhythms. They all come from Africa. The bottom on the right, all those rhythms come from Europe. And as these cultures were being exposed to each other, and they were getting mixed. And when I say getting mixed, actually we have a lot of people mulattoes. The people were getting mixed. We have a cross. How do you say it? Mm, mixed people. And these people, they wanted to find something to identify themselves. They didn't identify themselves as African or European. They were mixed. So they were trying to combine those elements to be able to feel whole. So that's where all of this music started developing right towards the trunk of the tree, and until we have all this different music that we have. And some of this music, especially the Cuban music became so popular that touched every single corner in Latin America, creating different rhythms as well. We're going from the tango to the cumbia and so forth. And if you click a couple of more times, please. So some of these elements, again, all of these dances that we see in the tree are from Cuba on the right here. We have these rhythms that develop in New York out of those elements there. If you click a couple of more times, please. We have some rhythms from Puerto Rico, the bomba plena and aguinaldos that are very popular in Puerto Rico, and they are very similar to those rhythms in Cuba. And then from Colombia, we have the cumbia, Dominican Republic, the bachata, the merengue as well. And with all of this is all what we call salsa. It's not one rhythm, it's a bunch of different rhythms. And when you think about this tree, we can bring this tree to America and we can fill it up with all these different rhythms. And if you can bring the same tree to any different nation in the Americas, and we're all going to have different versions with the same roots. And so that's what I try to explain to people, that is we're all connected. We're all connected through history, through music, and through our hearts, but human beings. And then on the next slides, I have some references and some links if you guys want to use them. Thank you guys very much and for this opportunity. And hopefully you guys have learned a little bit about Latin music. Is everybody awake?
Beto, thank you so much for your presentation. Um, we may have a minute or so for any questions. Does anyone have any questions you can send them to the chat right now. Okay. I don't see any questions so far, but I will say that, Beto, your presentation was extremely informative. You could definitely see the meshing of the cultures, especially in that last slide with the final tree. And I'd like to say thank you very much for that presentation. And here at OSHR, we're very grateful for that. Nancy, do you have any comments?
No, we just want to thank you for your presentation today, Ben. It was very interesting, very informative, and we appreciate everyone taking the time today to listen to this and learn the complexity of this beautiful music and expression. So thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us today, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Well, thank you. This presentation is part of an actually live show that we do, and that I transform into a webinar because of COVID live right now. But thank you guys so much, and I would love to work together sometime again.
We definitely would love that, Beto. This presentation also kind of is a segue into one of our newer classes that we have that we're offering within OSHR, one of our training classes, Belonging. And Gina Streety, our other diversity and inclusion consultant, is the instructor for that course. Gina, did you want to add anything about your class that will be coming up?
No, I don't. It just everything is in the flyer that was sent out about the class. You can find it in LMS, Google, or excuse me, Google. Type in belonging, and it will pop up. And the next class is in October, and it's already full with a long wait list. So there's a class in November, and I hope you'll sign up.
Thank you, Gina. And thank you everyone for attending this Lunch and Learn, and continue to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month throughout the month of September into October. And look to hear from us for upcoming Lunch and Learn sessions that we're going to have. We're going to present something for American Indian Heritage Month and also for Disability Employment Awareness Month. So look to hear from that information from OSHR. Thank you to everyone and have a nice day.